Grace and peace, friends and family. Welcome to another conversation. My name is Joy, and I am the founder of Pink Girl Teaches. I welcome you to this channel if it is your first time, and thank you so much for pressing play and taking time out of your day to spend with me. Family, if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. It is great to be here with you today, and I hope that you are all doing well and fearlessly pursuing your most significant state. I wanted to come on here today and talk to you about narcissistic caregivers. And for many of you that know me, know that this is something that is so near and dear to my heart because this is something that I get to witness quite often, or caregivers in action very often every day. I work in hospice, and so I get to see how some patients are treated, not just by their traditional caregivers, but like even those that they hire. And when I say traditional, what I meant to say is like family members who they're in their care, whether it's a spouse, a parent, a grandchild, anybody that makes up, somebody who is taking care of somebody who is sick. So I welcome you to this conversation, and I invite you to let me know your experiences and your thoughts and what you have, what you have come to learn on your journey of healing from narcissistic abuse. Before we get into today's conversation, I just want to highlight a couple of things for you. If you would like to connect with me on social media, I am Pink Girl Teaches everywhere. On Friday, ladies, I'm hosting a Bible study, and this is at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for When Queens Convene. And we're going to be taking a look at the life of Rhoda. And this is my favorite character in the Bible, my favorite female or woman in the Bible, should I say. And so I hope that you would join me. If you would like to register for When Queens Convene, you can visit my website. It's at the top of the screen, pinkgirlteaches.com, and go to the When Queens Convene tab and sign up. I do have some exciting news that I want to share with you before we talk about these narcissistic caregivers. The PGT Fearless Community is now available on YouTube, where I'm offering different perks for those that decide to sign up for them. And that includes special lives and members only videos. And for our lives, we're going to be building a strategic living plan that is going to help you on the fearless pursuit of your most significant state. And I do hope that you would join me on this journey. So let's get into today's discussion. We already know that narcissists exist in every aspect of life. We just can't get away from them. As much as we would like to say, you know what, I'm sick of these people. I wish they would just pack up and be shipped to an island or a planet of their own so that we can live in peace. That's really just not feasible. It's not going to happen. And the only thing that we can do is to become more wiser or more knowledgeable about what we are dealing with when we encounter narcissists. Now, it is true that we don't get to diagnose them unless, of course, you are a medical professional. But for those of us who have been in relationship, not just intimate relationships, because narcissists, again, exist in every aspect of life, whether you were raised by a narcissist, maybe it was your grandparents, maybe it was your parents, adoptive parents, whether you worked with them, went to school with them, business partners. Like, listen, they're in every aspect of life, from the medical field to governmental institutions. We can't get away from them. Narcissists are very much part of our society. But what happens when you have a chronic condition, a chronic health condition, right? Maybe you were born that way, or you have a family member that was born that way. They have an illness that, there's nothing that can be done, and they need care 24 hours a day, round the clock care, right? What happens if you get sick? Or somebody gets sick? It doesn't have to be you. It could be a child, it could be an aging parent, it could be an accident that changed a person's health, and therefore the trajectory of their life, that they cannot take care of themselves. And so we look to caregivers who really are supposed to be there to take care of the patient. But we know that when we have a narcissist on the scene, that it's always going to be about them and never about anybody else. And so we begin to ask ourselves, what's going on here? I've seen so many instances about what it is when somebody is a narcissist or highly narcissistic, and they're taking care of somebody who cannot take care of themselves. I've got a few videos about what happens when you are sick and why narcissists don't take care of you. They really don't take care of you because you're not a priority, and the show is always about them, the show being life. But listen, we understand that life is not a show. We understand that we go through, life and sickness, illness is a part of our life's journey. That's something we cannot get away from. It's just part of life. But I want to talk to you, and I have a few points that I want to highlight for you. When you're dealing with a narcissist, they want to be the center of attention. And so when you find that they are, there is a sick person, there's somebody that needs to be taken care of, whether it's a caregiver, somebody that you're going to hire, it could be a private caregiver, it could be somebody through, a third party, or, you go to one of those companies. I don't want to say any names, but you can go to a company looking for a caregiver, right? Sometimes the hospital assigns a caregiver. There are many ways on how to get a caregiver, but there are also family members who appoint themselves as caregivers. And there are systems where, at least here in the United States, you can be paid to take care of your family member. So now, if we have somebody who is a narcissist or highly narcissistic, then it's going to be about the benefit that they receive from taking care of this person. If I could just use a communal narcissist, for example, they will make sure that they receive all the praise and the adulation for taking care of somebody who is not able to take care of themselves. But you got to understand that it's all about show. It is never really about the actual patient. The patient is often not listened to, they're not heard. A lot of times they're not even fed properly. They're not taken care of as far as, having baths, like proper baths, like, brush your teeth, wash your face, the very basic things that we all need so that we can not only just, be healthy, but so we can feel clean. There's something about when you've had a bath and you've had adequate care, a haircut, whether you got, they helped, your caregiver helped you shave, or any of those things, that makes a person generally feel a little bit better. It's not a cure, but it does give them a different disposition about how they are feeling. Can you imagine being in your own stuff in a diaper that is not changed for hours and hours, and the only time that you receive adequate care and attention and even respect is when other people are coming to visit, and then the person that is there to take care of you is now, parading like they're an awesome person and that they have been taking excellent care of you. This is not what care is about. It's not, caregiving has nothing to do with that. It's about an ongoing process and what happens behind the scenes when nobody is there. That's where the real care begins to take place. But if it's a narcissist, you definitely cannot count on experiencing those things or witnessing those things as a person that needs help. And the truth about it is, at some point, if we are fortunate, we will all need some help at some point in time. Sometimes it's not that it's a long, ongoing process. Sometimes you really just get sick. And so I want you to consider, for those of you that you still have your eyes open on maybe one day. And I don't want to discourage you. What I'm trying to do is encourage you to choose people wisely. That the person that you're with, will they nourish you? Will they nurture you? Will they take care of you? If you cannot, listen, I think I have a video from quite a while ago where I share my experience, how I got sick 3 months after being married, and I couldn't do anything for myself, but I had to do everything by myself. This is where we begin to look at the level of care that the person, or a narcissistic caregiver just doesn't give you. And it does impact the healing process. Because as a person is trying to heal, imagine now you're dealing with emotional abuse. Because one thing narcissists will do is blame you for the condition that you are in. So here's a caregiver who is supposed to be loving, supporting, empathetic, and nurturing, and they're spewing all kinds of venom towards a person who really cannot help themselves. They did not choose to be in that situation. They did not choose to be sick. It's just where they find themselves. But because a narcissist is a narcissist is a narcissist, right? And we faithfully talk about how narcs stay narking. This is no different. It's just one of those instances. One thing that is so I think so devastating is that narcissists will spew all kinds of venom to people that they're supposed to be caring for. But I think one of the worst things that you can hear from them is when they encourage the person in their care to unalive themselves. Even in healthy relationships, they say things like that. If I were you, I would just unalive myself because you are no good to me. You're no good for anything. But now we have an instant where somebody can't. They cannot physically take care of themselves if it's to feed themselves. They're at the mercy of this person. And I think, if you see this taking place, I want you to consider intervening or just being more present for the person that is under the care of a narcissist. Sometimes we see this happen in instances where it may be a sibling. Let's just say, for example, you have an elderly parent, and one of the siblings decides, the narcissistic sibling, right, decides that they're going to take care of the parent. And so you begin to find that they isolate the other family members and they want to do everything by themselves so that they can receive all the praise and so that they can benefit from these situations. Because for a narcissist, it's always going to be about what benefits them most. It's about that come up. And so, when you see these things, as much as you can, if you can have, consider the type of power of attorney agreements that your parents have, and even those that you have, if you are still somehow tied to this narcissist. Those are things that you can also be on the lookout for. But another thing, and one thing that is so important that you have to be mindful, is finances. Finances, finances, finances. Listen, the Bible tells us that the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not that money is evil, but it's the love of money that is the root of all evil. And I think this is one instance where we can see. And come on, have you ever watched the ID channel? Like, I used to be glued on that channel so much. And there were stories after stories after stories that just point to how these people take advantage of those that they are supposed to be supportive of, caring for, providing for. And when I say providing, just care, just helping them, cooking meals, doing their grocery shopping. But you see that we know now narcissists are master manipulators. So we see how they worm their way, they wiggle their way into being able to have some kind of say over the person's finances. They end up being on checking accounts and they're able to sign checks, and suddenly money comes up missing. These are all things that are very, very common when it comes to dealing with narcissistic caregivers. And I think it's important that we become mindful about these situations so that we know, for one, how to protect ourselves, but also how to protect those that we love. And what do we do when we see these signs? How do you stop this narcissistic caregiver? Those are things that we have to, and not to say that you can tell them, hey, you need to stop this, because we know that doesn't work for a narcissist. They will find a way to become a victim in those situations. So how do you remove them from, the role of caregiver? It's so much easier. Well, it can be somewhat easier if it's somebody that can simply be fired. But here's the thing, they get into the mind of the person. Remember when you were involved with a narcissist, right? At whatever level and capacity that it was, and how the narcissist could tell you that the sky is pink, and other people are telling you, no, the sky is blue, but yet you still believe that it's pink because of the way the narcissist infiltrates your mind, and they begin to just change or gaslight you, right? That emotional, that psychological abuse, how it changes your perception of reality and what you know to be true. But it's the same thing for people that are dependent on these caregivers. And narcissists will say things like, well, if it wasn't for me, there would be nobody there for you. I know I'm not the only one that heard it. And I wasn't even sick at those times, when I first heard this. But imagine now when your health is compromised and you are in a compromised position where you can't do anything for yourself, or you're limited in what you can do for yourselves. it really changes the way that, that people begin to respond to those that love them because of the mental manipulation. But this is a conversation that I did want to have with you today. I would love to hear from you in the comments what your experiences have been, if any, along this area, and what do you think that we can do to begin to help those that are under the care of a narcissistic caregiver. Listen, my name is Joy, and I want to thank you so much for joining me on this conversation today. It's my sincere hope that you were, some questions that you had were answered. But the bigger thing, I guess, is that we would begin to have this conversation and come up with plans to help us and to help those that we love that may be in these situations, and how we can prevent ourselves from being in such situations. So, fearless one, continue to come from behind and pursue your most significant state. God bless you.